All right, we're back. Video number 3, video number 4, preference scale number 3. So far we've done E versus I, extrovert versus introvert. Then we did sensing versus intuitive, so that was S or N. And the third letter of your personality type was either a T or an F. So this one is probably the easiest one to understand. This scale is a measure of how you make decisions. And T is for thinking and F is for feeling. So once again, take a peek at your report and see how much of each line you have shaded in. If you're a whole lot of T and a little bit of F, or a whole lot of F or a little bit of T, or right in the middle. This one I think is kind of the funnest to understand because you can start to notice it in your everyday life very, very easily. So if you are someone who needs to persuade people to make a decision, it's really good to know about this thinking versus feeling tendency. Let's imagine that you're buying a car and you go to the car dealership and if you're like me, I bought my dream vehicle. The vehicle I love more than any is a soft top Jeep Wrangler. And I bought one on August 23rd, 2003. I was 25 years old and I bought my first Jeep Wrangler. I had to sell it when I had a baby. I had it for 7 years, sold it when I had a baby. I'll get another one someday. Anyway, but I went to the Jeep dealership, and there are questions that you could ask at a car dealership. I'm sure that you've asked some of these questions before. Things like, how much gas mileage does it get? What's the sound system like? What kind of warranty does it come with? What's the mileage on the tires? What's the mileage of the vehicle? Stuff like that. Okay. So those are very thinking questions. They're very fact-based and extremely objective. The feeling person is going to walk into the Jeep dealership and be like, so, how do you take the top down? And those were the questions that I asked. And the salesperson who's there, if they're a well-trained salesperson, they're going to pick up on which of those people you are. They're going to pick up on if you're more fact-based and into the thinking side of things, or if you're more feeling-based and into the kind of, how's this going to affect me personally, what are the benefits kind of thing. So at the Jeep dealership that day, they talked to the feeling side of me, which is my stronger side. I showed you guys my code. I'm an ENFJ. And I just went to look, right? I just went to look. I left the dealership that day with a brand new Jeep because they said all the right things. I knew that Jeeps were gas guzzlers, and I knew that there were, I knew that it was expensive. I knew that it was a gas guzzler. I knew all those things, but I didn't care because at that time in my life, I was single. I didn't have children. I had a good job. I just wanted the Jeep. So you know what? I got it. And it was all about the feeling of being up high, being able to take the top down, having a vehicle that was kind of like there's a little bit of huskiness to a Jeep that I really like. And I like the idea of like being a little bit girly in a Jeep. Anyway, I know that sounds weird, but that's all feeling stuff. That's all feeling. It has nothing to do with objective information. It's totally and completely subjective. Remember learning about test questions, which I'm hoping that you've learned about those at some point. But test questions, the objective ones, are the ones where there's a right or a wrong answer, like multiple choice or true false, and it's just straight up yes or no. That's more fact-based. Subjective tests are your essays and your short answer where there's a little bit of wiggle room for either some embellishments or making the details your own and things like that. And that's usually, when we compare thinking and feeling, that's a little bit more like feeling. It could be different for everyone. So if we look at another example of thinking and feeling, imagine that you're a manager and you've got this company and you've got all these changes coming and you just find out that the numbers aren't good and you have to let 5 people go. Or you have to cut 5 jobs, and maybe 2 of them are open positions, so you just don't hire anyone. So that's great. And then you've got 3 that you need to decide who's going to be let go. The thinking person, the objective person, is able to look at that situation, make a decision based on facts, and then move forward. It doesn't mean that they have to be a jerk. It means that maybe instead of taking it personally, or worrying about those people, instead they do everything they can to help the 3 people who are being let go, and they do what's best for the company overall. The feeling person is going to be the person who eagerly closes the 2 positions because they don't want to have to fire anyone, and they're going to start thinking like, well, I can't fire so-and-so because they've got an issue with getting health insurance outside of work, and I just can't let this person go because they really need this job. And the feeling person sometimes can take things very personally and really be concerned about how a decision they make is going to affect other people. So that decision that you're making could be how it's going to affect you, but sometimes there's a lot of concern with they don't want to disappoint anyone and they don't want to let someone down. And they make choices from a place where it's not just about what I want, but about what everyone wants. Or sometimes, and this is the worst time, it's when it's about what other people want, but it's not what you want. So the thinking person is a little bit more fact-based, they're more objective, they're more, I can make this choice and I don't have to become that choice. This choice doesn't define who I am. And then the feeling person is someone who's definitely more concerned with how it's going to affect other people or themselves. And again, I want to say again, the thinking person doesn't have to be a jerk. They can be someone who is, this has to happen in order for the good for everyone, but I'm still going to help the one or two people that are going to be impacted in a poor way. And not every thinker does that. Some thinkers, and you might even know some, are people who make choices and move on, and make choices and move on. And they don't necessarily try to help the people that might be impacted in a negative way. But I guess we're all different, right? Difference makes the world go round. All right, so I hope that one has been pretty clear. Thinking versus feeling measures how you make decisions, and let's move on to the last video and we'll talk about the last preference scale.